First off, this is a video I honestly do not want to have to make. This is a concept that I support. There is a company that is currently trying to essentially create a new streaming service. And while at face value, I respect it, underneath there is, not really underneath, it's plain in sight, there is a lot of red flags flying up for this. But yes, for those unaware, there is a group called GameFace LLC that is trying to create a new streaming service called AnimeTube. And like I said, at face value, I completely support this. I like the idea of a company coming in and shaking what we're kind of stuck in, which is the idea that one company owns the license and nobody else can have it. And in some cases, one company owns a license and it's no longer allowed to be shown in a region. Those aspects are not healthy for the anime sphere. The idea of being able to grab an anime no matter where you're at should be a thing. The idea that one company holds it and nobody else can have it is dangerous in a lot of regards. And I think especially with the recent, still pending idea of Sony buying Crunchyroll, that reduces the places we can get this stuff even more so. Now, they can always, license it out to other companies, but that's not really something that's probably going to happen. When a company spends a lot of money on something, they want to make sure it's on their platform. Otherwise, why spend the money? So yeah, like I said, at face value, I want this. But underneath, this is a very dangerous thing. The reason why I'm making this video is because it's a dangerous thing. There is way too many red flags here. This is a Kickstarter that has essentially tried to run before. It failed. They claimed at the time that it was because they needed to restructure things, and then now I've seen another post where they're saying something different. They're saying, we brought it down so that it's something more, basically the bare minimums that we need. And it's like, well, what if you were on goal to go toward your goal, why would you need to reduce it? But of course, the glaring issue here is that this is not what it's going to take in order to create a new streaming service. This is not the money that you would need in order to do this. This is an original goal of $50,000, which is not going to get you, it's probably going to get you an app. You'll get an app created. But what about the streaming infrastructure? You need servers to put all these anime on. They're boasting upwards of 5,000 anime titles. You're not going to buy anything with that. You're not even going to buy you're going to probably buy a single episode maybe with $50,000. If you find a really crappy show that nobody wants, you might be able to buy one episode of one anime for that cost. But you're not going to buy 5,000. I mean, the thing is I heard rumblings about this whole situation, but I didn't really jump on it because I really, at the time I was busy and I didn't think there was anything of it. And then it wasn't until Sean Kleckner brought it up that I'm like, whoa, okay, so this is more interesting than I originally thought it would be. And then as I ran down the rabbit hole of looking into all this stuff, I'm like, this is crazy. This is absolutely, I guess you'd probably say it's a train wreck that you want to watch. Which is unfortunate. I don't want this to be a bad thing. My usual ability to kind of give people the benefit of doubt tells me this is probably somebody that is trying to be legit, but doesn't understand the industry, and they're going to get basically the mud thrown in their face. Of course, my cynical side says this is an absolute scam. They want to rip people off of their money. You might get an app that, now, this is where it gets into the history of this stuff, because if you look into the actual person that is behind GameFace, which is, he has his name on the actual page, so I'm not, throwing anybody's name out there or anything. George Weller, if you look into him, there was a previous app that was on a lot of platforms. I think it's still on Windows Store, called AnimeTube Unlimited. And he was ahead of that, he's ahead of that company as well, which is Ion Entertainment. So he has created an app before, and that app had issues too. And apparently it got removed from the Xbox store itself. So this is apparently his attempt to go legit, because that app was pirating. It had sources you can select, and one of them was pirate sites. And so He's familiar with the idea of creating an app. He has that behind him, or him and his team has that behind them. And so apparently this is his attempt to, I guess, follow in Crunchyroll's steps in the idea of, okay, well, now I want to actually work with these companies and license this stuff and put it on a platform that will be completely legit. And so he creates this Kickstarter, and he's claiming that he's going to have, all these anime titles. He's going to have multiple regions. Everything's going to be open. It's going to be completely free. Oh, yeah, by the way, we also have a subscription model, which you can go into as well, which, again, claims that there was upwards of 5,000 titles, which, yeah, none of the current services have that many. I think somebody said that if you look in, I think Crunchyroll has like 1,000. That's a lot of titles. And like I said before, if you were to, one of the things they're claiming is that essentially everybody's lying to you. And that's kind of a disingenuous place to start your company, is the idea that everybody's lying to you. Crunchyroll's lying to you. Netflix is lying to you. They have bare minimums for their apps. They don't put any effort in their apps. Their apps are terrible. Our app is great. We're perfect. Even though, again, if you look into AnimeTube Unlimited, which is their previous apps, there's a lot of feedback online that you can find where they've had crashes, they have issues, they have people unable to access it, they feel like they're, some people saying they're banned, all that kind of stuff, which we'll get into later. So it's not like they're perfect. They're going to have issues too, which again, I'm fine with another alternative out there, but what are you going to be providing? Well, okay, licensing stuff. Well, where are you going to put that licensed stuff? What server are you going to put it on? Crunchyroll's not going to put it on their server for you to stream off of and get money from them. No, you're going to have to put it on a server yourself. But they're running on this campaign that Crunchyroll's a terrible people, Funimation's terrible people, High Dive's terrible people, Disney's terrible people, but we're good people. Come to us. Which, again, I like the idea of breaking away from the mold and having that option. It's perfectly fine. But again, the question comes up is you don't have enough detail here to tell us how you're going to pull that off. And yet you want people to back you. So let's talk about licensing. Because again, their claim is that everybody's got it wrong. When Sean Kleckner first spoke up about it, he said, because essentially when they created this Kickstarter page, they put a list of a bunch of potential licenses they're in discussions for. And Sean Kleckner kind of chimed up and said, hey, you have my titles on your list here, and I've never talked to you before. And he said, apparently he deleted the tweet, but the AnimeTube channel basically said, hey, we sent you a message on LinkedIn. So that's apparently discussions. They've claimed they've talked to AGA, which is basically a contracting company in Japan, which I don't believe even own the titles. They would be perfectly happy to talk with anybody because, hey, if you're somebody that says, hey, I have a streaming service that's starting, they want to talk to you. Yeah, sure. They're going to ask for some money when you would decide that you want to license stuff. But again, being in talks and actually getting stuff is completely different. But of course, one of their claims on the Kickstarter page is that, again, all these companies are lying to you and that this stuff doesn't cost as much as they claim. So let's just assume, again, let's give the benefit of doubt that they're correct. Let's say that all these titles are $1 per episode. Again, you're looking at anywhere between 12 and, shoot, if you get into some of the shonen shows, upwards of 500 plus episodes. Now let's times that by 5,000. We're getting, again, way up in the numbers. Now, again, one of the other claims is that this Kickstarter is not to get money for licensing. This is to apparently launch this whole thing. But again, where are you going to get the money to get those licenses? It's not going to be cheap. So if you're going to start off with upwards of 5,000 titles, you must have a really big company behind you, because that's going to be a lot of money. And again, I wish that was true. That's perfect. That's great. I want it. But it's not reality. And of course, after Kleckner brought up the fact that, hey, this is my titles, why do you have it? He, of course, sent it off to pretty much everybody else. And I think G-Kid's response saying, no, we've never talked to these people. I believe Media Blaster's response said, no, we've never talked to these people before. So again, all these titles are listed, claiming they're in discussions, and everybody's like, no, they're not talking to us. So the response again to that, even though again they said, no, we sent you a message, which is implying that they did contact U.S. distributors, They then claimed, oh no, we don't actually have to talk to them. We've never had to talk to them. You're supposed to talk to the original owners in Japan, and we're doing that. In basically claiming that these titles are not exclusive, that anybody can have them. True, sort of. Some of these titles can have exclusivities. Some of these titles can be, open to anybody. That's the problem, is that you're assuming that all this stuff is not actually locked into the companies again. If I was Disney and I spent a fortune on the Ghibli titles, sure as heck, I want them to only be on my platform. If the company goes off and gives them to somebody else at the same time after I pay them a fortune for it, I'm going to be pretty mad. Again, I wish it wasn't like that, but that is reality. That is the reality of things. But again, the cost of these episodes, and we're talking per episode. This isn't you buy Naruto and you get the whole thing. You're paying per episode because they can keep going and going and going and going, and they want more and more money as it goes along. The concept of that stuff isn't as expensive as they say is not true. There is just too many groups of people that have reported on different high costs, and they are all high. There's different opinions, but that's always based on the title, the popularity, who's licensing it, and of course the market, how many people are there to bid on it. And yes, when it started off, Crunchyroll was an illegal service, but then eventually they got in there and they said, we want to pay for this stuff. And when they did, it was probably pretty low. But now when you have Netflix and Disney and all these other big titles, Sony behind it, the price is going to keep going up. It's going to keep going up because there's more market there. And so a company trying to be the next Crunchyroll, which I applaud, is going to have a lot more difficulties than Crunchyroll did, honestly. Now, to my next thing, I really don't like this next part. I want something like this to be a thing. But, again, there's practices here that make this very difficult for me to support, even if it was legit. And that's twofold. One, they've already burned a lot of bridges, just based on the fact that they used to have a pirate service, and it's still there. So it's essentially like, we're in talks with these people. We're GameFace, by the way. We're not that Aeon Entertainment LLC. We're GameFace, and we want to make a legit app. And then somebody somehow figures out, oh yeah, by the way, this guy's attached to this other company that has a currently available piracy group, and they're stabbing us in the back at the same time they're trying to shake our hand. You're burning bridges while you're trying to make a deal. It's not a good look, honestly. But then, of course, me saying that, I'm probably going to be, after this video gets posted, I will probably be blocked by them, probably banned by them, because this is the second really nasty business practice they're already getting into. As people are obviously questioning what they're doing and the viability of it, what is happening? In every source, people are being banned. They're being blocked. This is a company, or whoever's running their social media group is essentially scrubbing everything of anybody that has any kind of alternate opinions. And that's a bad business practice. Let's be honest. Funimation and Crunchyroll, all the services, there's a lot of people that don't like them because they're the company that has their anime and they want it for free and they don't want ads. And any way that people can criticize those companies, they're going to do it. And guess what? They're not really being blocked. They're not being banned. I mean, they're probably blocking people that are getting really vicious, but for the most part, they allow people to speak out. They allow people to criticize their apps and stuff. That's not the case with AnimeTube. There's tons of reports you can look online for AnimeTube Unlimited. You'll find tons of people saying that they have been banned. They've been blocked from the Facebook page. And again, if you look online, anybody that is talking about this right now on Twitter is being blocked by their Twitter account. Whoever is running their social media has, very thin skin. Very, very thin skin. Wearing that heart on the sleeve, and it's huge. And that's not a good look. That is not a good look. I'm not too into the idea of having a company carrying all of my licenses of shows that I want to watch that will ban me for saying your app crashed. That's not a good look. So anybody supporting this, I hope you keep your lips sealed. If you say anything bad about what you're supporting, you're probably going to get banned from using the service. And again, that's something that is happening. It is something that will happen. There's threats, the idea that I think their Discord channel, there is statements from people, and this is unverified. Let me be perfectly clear, because I do not like saying stuff that I cannot verify myself. I can't verify because I'm not backing this, and I can't get access to their Discord. There's people saying on their Discord channel that anybody shows screenshots and stuff, they will be banned not only from Discord, but also from the app itself. Threatening people with banning from the service entirely, again, is a very dangerous business practice and not something I want to support. But I think what it all really comes down to is, if this is legit, and I don't really necessarily think it is. I think this is... My prediction is that this is a case of somebody wanting to, again, go to follow in Crunchyroll's steps to make their illegal app legal, to be the next service. And I guess somebody maybe whispered in their ear saying that something is true that's not. And that they're trying to essentially create this service, and they are starting talks with people in Japan, and they hope to do this. But I think what's actually going to happen, my prediction is that they're going to realize that they can't get these licenses. They may make another app to replace their old one, and then that new app is probably going to have a bunch of piracy stuff, and then it'll get shut down, and then they will wipe their hands of it and walk away. The more cynical side of me sees this being a thing of somebody just getting rich quick, and they're going to claim that they got something, and they will walk away with the money. The reason why I don't see the first scenario working out and them going just basically probably another piracy route is that licensing isn't that easy. This is not an easy... I personally have tried to get into licensing stuff because I want to put them on my video. I want to put anime footage on my videos. And how do you do that? Well, you have to contact the license holder in America if it's licensed in America already, because again, if they've got exclusive licensing, you will have to go through them. Now, when I've had anime striked on my YouTube channel, it is always by the actual Japanese owners. But again, they're able to do that because they technically still own it. It's just they are giving rights in America for people to use it here. I can get rights from somebody here local in order to allow it, but it's still this chain of effect that you have to go through, this chain of command. And the unfortunate thing is that getting permission from Japan is a very difficult thing, because everybody that owns that property has to sign on it. You know those production committees that we hate so much? Yes. Everybody that's in that production committee will have to approve it because they all technically own it. And so the idea of somebody just kind of showing up and saying, I want to get access to all this stuff, is a very, very difficult thing. It is not easy. And again, if somebody can do that outside of the usual crowd, I am perfectly happy about that. I do want competition. Competition is very important. It's just the idea that I'm going to get $50,000 and then go out there and license 5,000 titles is just not, it's not going to work. It's not happening. It's never going to happen. Again, you might get one episode for that money. You're not going to get 5,000 titles of 12 to 500 episodes. It's just not going to happen. And let's add on to that. Let's go even further. You buy one episode for $50,000. How are you subtitling it? Who are you going to pay to subtitle it? Who are you going to pay to dub it? You're going to suddenly pop up a dub studio that's going to dub an entire episode with multiple actors for $50,000? It's not logical. It doesn't make any sense. And again, I hurt for those that have jumped on this and thinking this is going to be the way to stick it to the ban. You're going to lose your money. You're not going to get anything out of it. It is not going to happen. Again, they're claiming that they have actual other sources of income that they are going to use in order to get licenses and stuff. I hope they have some really, really, really deep pockets, because they're jumping in and trying to essentially survive in a very competitive market. And I can see it. This is like when we were talking about on the podcast about Amazon leaving and how Sony was buying Crunchyroll. One of my comments was that I want Amazon to come back because I don't want this to turn into a monopoly. I don't want one company owning everything. But my argument there is that it's not easy for any company. I don't even see Sentai Filmworks or High Dive jumping in there and being able to pick up that extra weight. It would have to be somebody, a company that's already established, that has very deep pockets, that can come in there and be a competitor. And the reason why I say that is because it takes a lot of money to license all these titles. It takes a lot of money to make a server that holds all these videos. You can't just throw up a GoDaddy account with a hosting on it and have streaming uploads coming out of it of terabytes per second, which is what you technically need for things like Netflix, Crunchyroll, Funimation. You have to have an infrastructure. You have to have some massive, massive servers that can handle a lot of video uploading, a lot of video put out, a lot of data put out, a lot of user access. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe G-Kids is wrong. Maybe Shock and Kleckner of Nozami Entertainment and Right Stuff is wrong. Maybe Media Blasters is wrong. Maybe Netflix and Disney, they've been all doing it wrong. Apparently, you guys wasting your money. Apparently, it doesn't cost that much to get all those Ghibli titles. These guys are here to show us how it's done. And again, if that's true, I'll eat my words. I'll probably be banned anyway, so I won't be able to access their service, and I'll just have to unfortunately go piracy after that. If this actually ends up turning out good, and they take all the anime titles, I guess I'll have to go to piracy because I'll be banned because I made this video. It's also extremely concerning that their entire team is not even with their first and last names. But yeah, that's my take on this whole situation. I personally, again, this is just me, I strongly recommend people please pull your backing. I honestly don't see this becoming a thing unless they actually give more information about how they're going to get licenses, who they're actually talking to, some kind of sign that anybody in Japan is actually taking them seriously, because that's an important thing. This is not a slight on them. You have to show that you have some kind of element of somebody taking you seriously, because starting up something like this is not an easy feat. 50,000 is not an easy feat. 50,000 is not bare minimums. That's bare minimums to make an app and maybe a mascot, apparently, they've already pulled off. This is not something you just jump in willy-nilly. And again, if they are in a legit self, this is a legit thing, I support them. But they don't show any sign of this being real. They don't have any sign of this being plausible. They don't have infrastructure there. They don't have any kind of sign of who they've licensed. What license they put up there or they're going for are all being shot down as, I've never talked to these people before. Why they put my title up there? Everything points to these people maybe are just misinformed at the very least. Or again, a scam otherwise. And I know this is going to probably bug a lot of people, especially the large group of people that are very loud about how they hate Funimation, the Crunchyroll, and they need an excuse to pirate. They're going to hate this video because they want this probably to be a thing, but it's just not a thing. And it's, the other troubling thing is that they are trying to be the alternative free, but yet they're similar to what Crunchyroll and Funimation are doing. You're going to have free with ads, and you're going to have subscription for no ads. There's nothing new. Plus, you're going to have a limit, apparently, how many shows you can watch if you do subscribe. But yeah, it's sad. It is really sad that I have to make this video. Like I said, I really do hope that people, you know, make sure they're informed when they look at stuff like this. I guess a simple thing you could do is kind of look into the creator himself, look into what they've done in the past, what kind of support the previous thing, seeing how it essentially is a part of something that is currently pirating things, so that legitimacy is not there while they're trying to act as if they want to be legitimate. Look into the titles that they have, see how, you know, they don't even have any of these licenses, nor have any of these companies ever talked to them before. That stuff really throws up those red flags that you really have to use to kind of inform yourself for something like this. Again, despite the fact that I do technically want more competition, it's just not from a place that has any kind of, again, strategy behind it that is out there for people to see. Kickstarter has always been an issue for me because of that there's no real accountability in Kickstarter. And that's what you have to remember. But we'll end up talking about this again on the podcast. So if you want to get Chris's perspective on this, which I'm sure will be a lot more into the idea of competition, which I agree with, but he'll probably have his own little insights into this, which will be fun to talk about. So look forward to that. We'll record that this next coming Tuesday and hopefully have it Tuesday or Wednesday up. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought about this whole thing. Are you supporting this? Are you going to support this? Are you removing your support? Let me know. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. Get the word out for people to Not to bomb this, not to, purposely go out there and pull your backing, but just to be informed. Just be informed. That's always what I'm about. I was with that with Tokyo Revengers, about informing people about the Manji symbol rather than removing it. Be informed, that's my main goal here. So, hope you guys enjoy this video. And again, y'all take care.